Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Now with today's main headlines. Amid tight security plans, large numbers of Ahlul Bayt followers continue walking towards Holy Kadhmiyyah. Shirazi World Foundation's message on International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism. Report to follow. On International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism, non-violence organization calls for eliminating political extremism. Germany sees shortage of burial places for Muslim immigrants. Peace be upon the Master of Martyrs, peace be upon you, O dear viewers. This is Hussein Jawad and you are watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3. Baghdad Operations Command revealed on Sunday that the security plans laid for securing and protecting millions of pilgrims coming from different Iraqi provinces, as well as Shia followers of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, from all over the world to commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kadhim, peace be upon him. Security Operations Commander Lieutenant General Ahmed Salim said in a statement followed by Shia Waves agency, "The Baghdad operations units and other affiliated sectors have begun implementing plans to protect pilgrims heading to the holy city of Kadhmiyyah. Morning processions, mosques and Husayniyas on the anniversary of the martyrdom of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam." Salim noted that more than 5,000 morning and service processions are registered in Baghdad, spreading on both sides of Karkh and Rusafa, announcing the development of a tight transport plan in which the Ministry of Public Transport, in coordination with private transport, will participate, as well as the Baghdad Operations Command and other teams to help transport pilgrims. It is worth mentioning that the martyrdom anniversary is on the 25th of Rajab, in which millions of Ahlul Bayt followers from Iraq and outside of Iraq flock towards the holy shrine of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam to commemorate his painful martyrdom. On the International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism, the Shirazi World Foundation sent a message to the international community and world governments to assume full responsibility in confronting and combating this dangerous phenomenon. More details in the following report.
The Shirazi World Foundation sent a message to the international community on the International Day to prevent violent extremism conducive to terrorism, affirming its full commitment to combating this phenomenon. Through its message, the Foundation called on governments and international and humanitarian organisations to assume their responsibility in taking all measures to combat violence and terrorism by developing programmes and plans based on respect for human rights and rejection of marginalisation and deprivation. It is also emphasised the instructions of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, in dealing with this phenomenon, as well as the treatise of the late Imam Muhammad al-Husseini al-Shirazi and his theory on consolidating the culture of non-violence. The Foundation said in its message, which was seen by Shia Waves agency, the government in setting development programs in the absence of a realistic perception of society and its transformations in all its details and intellectual, material, social and economic dimensions would produce much negativity no matter how good the intentions. The Foundation continued, the report of the United Nations Secretary General on January 15, 2016 presented to the General Assembly on reviewing the action plan to prevent violent extremism referred to many factors for the spread of violent extremism, all of which go back to the roots of deprivation and marginalisation, such as lack of social and economic opportunities, discrimination and pure administration, human rights violations and spreading extremist ideology and presence. The foundation also drew attention to what the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, emphasized the importance of rationalizing human tendencies towards sublime values instead of suppressing them in order to prevent them from transforming into extremism and violence. Reporting Aruj, Fatma Malik, Shia Waves.
The international non-violence organization Free Muslim stressed the need for concerted efforts to prevent incidents of extremism and violence leading to terrorism, noting that the importance of commemorating the UN's International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism. The Free Muslim organization, since its launch, has believed in the need to combat these dangerous phenomenon and has made great efforts in this regard, and has since taken this name for itself. In its message on this day, seen by Shia Waves agency, the organization has said, "This day, which was approved by the United Nations as a message to countries and peoples of the international community, as a warning of terrorism and repercussions on security and civil peace." It explained that everyone is aware that the Russian and Ukrainian war represents an existential threat to the international community without discrimination, especially as it is on the verge of turning into a third world war that will be destructive, as the nuclear and hydrogen weapons may be used and change the entire world organization. The organization considered that the political extremism and the apparent intransigence of all parties directly and indirectly involved in the ongoing war are among the most prominent causes prolonging and exacerbating the war. The organization's message warned of the danger of blind extremism, which has become a comprehensive phenomenon and is no longer restricted to the groups and individuals, but rather extends to the international politics and superpowers. Let us remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Amid tight security plans, large numbers of Ahlul Bayt followers continue walking towards Holy Kadhimiyya. Shirazi World Foundation's message on International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism. Non-violence organization calls for eliminating political extremism on International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism. Also tonight, Pakistan's top rights group raises alarm on religious freedom. The German Broadcasting Authority Deutsche Welle highlighted crisis of the lack of Islamic burial places in various parts of Germany, which prompts many Muslims to search for burial places in neighboring cities or to deport the body of the deceased to the mother country. In a special report published by the authority on its website, the head of the Association of Muslim Cemeteries in the city of Wuppertal, Samir Bouasia, said that there are more than 5 million Muslims in Germany and their number is constantly increasing, which means that more and more Muslims will die and be buried in German lands. Samir added to the German Broadcasting Authority that the Muslim community came to Wuppertal in 2008, noting that even then it was clear that Germany needed Muslim cemeteries, pointing out at the same time that the Association of Muslim Cemeteries in Wuppertal plans to establish the first cemetery in Germany to be run exclusively by Muslim communities. And Deutsche Welle stated that there are more than 30,000 cemeteries in Germany, a third of which are owned by Christian churches, while the rest is managed by local municipalities, pointing out that each of the 16 federal states in Germany has multiple and distinct burial systems. And now we continue with some short news. The Deputy of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Al-Hussein Shirazi, Hujjat al-Islam wa al-Muslimin Sheikh Saleh, represented the Islamic and legal position in the first session of the International Parliamentary Union, IPU 2023, which was held in the United Arab Emirates, coinciding with the World Summit of Governments. The conference was attended by religious and political leaders, headed by the former President of the Romanian Republic, Mr. Emil Constantin, Lord Andrew Stone, a member of the House of Lords of the United Kingdom, Fiorello Provera, a member of the European Parliament and Vice Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Deputy Alfred Herr, Vice President of Switzerland, the Swiss delegation to the Council of Europe, Gianni Picot, under Secretary General of the United Nations, Yasar Yakis, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, Emmanuel Zingris, President of the Parliamentary Forum for Democracy, His Excellency Federico Meyer, former Director General of UNESCO and President of the Foundation for Culture of Peace. Religious and academic curricula in the Gulf and Islamic countries were highlighted, emphasizing peaceful coexistence, human rights, and rejecting hate speech and terrorism for all forms. For his part, His Eminence Sheikh Saleh stressed on the following the instructions of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, on education and teaching, respecting human rights, not violating legal rules, adhering to moderation, and confronting racism against Muslims. Iraq's Ministry of Transportation announced that 11 trains and 200 buses began transporting pilgrims to Holy Kazmiyyah to commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam. Media Director of Ministry of Transport Hussein al-Khafaji said that there is a transportation plan laid earlier ahead of this massive pilgrimage, in cooperation with the concerned department and security forces. It is worth mentioning that the martyrdom anniversary of Imam al-Kazim is to be held on the 25th of Rajab by millions of Shia followers of Ahlul Bayt, both from inside and outside of Iraq. Millions of mourners are preparing to gather at the holy site of Kazmiyyah's shrine to mark the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, martyred on the 25th of Rajab in the Islamic calendar. According to historical accounts, Imam Musa al-Kazim was poisoned by the Abbasid Caliph Harun, and his body was left on display for 3 days to undermine his rank and importance. Despite this, his legacy continues to live on, with millions of people visiting his shrine each year to pay their respects. To commemorate this special occasion, the Imam Hussein Media Group has started live transmission of the Mashayikh to Kazmiyyah, which is a massive walk to the shrine, on their 6 platforms in multiple languages, including English, Arabic, Persian, Urdu, and Turkish. The hadith of the Imam al-Rida alayhi salam is also displayed on the holy shrine signs of mourning, reminding the visitors that visiting the grave of my father is like visiting the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. In cooperation with the IHC organization, Imam Hussein Charity, the Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development, affiliated with the Office of the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Al-Hussein Shirazi, distributed firewood to the poor and needy families in Afghanistan, Herat city. The foundation has provided tens of tons of coal and firewood and other relief assistance to orphan and needy families in Afghanistan, particularly as temperatures continue to drop. These humanitarian campaigns are based on directives of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq, to help the needy and orphaned families around the world. Human Rights Watch issued February 13th a joint statement signed by 23 other organizations expressing their concerns about Saudi citizen Hassan al-Rabi', who faces a death penalty if returned back to Saudi Arabia. Returning him to Saudi Arabia would be clear violation of a non-principle under international human rights. The statement said, noting that al-Rabi' comes from a family of critics of the Saudi regime. Human Rights Watch already reported in January how Hassan's family has been harassed and persecuted in the past, mentioning how 2 of his cousins in 2019 were executed for alleged protest-related and terrorism-related offences. The report indicates that the meaningful role of al-Rabi''s family, Shia's background within the case, the statement added. A prominent rights group in Pakistan has expressed considerable alarm over the state of religious freedom in the country. It is reported and titled A Breach of Faith, Freedom of Religion or Belief in 2021 to 2022. Released on Tuesday, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan said incidents of the country's religious minorities facing persecution remain consistent between July 2021 and July 2022. The HRCP report focused on forced conversions, the desecration of places of worship belonging to minorities. It also questioned the standardized national curriculum in parts of Pakistan, which the group has created an exclusionary narrative that sidelines Pakistan's religious minorities. The report said that in the year 2021 alone, around 60 cases of forced conversions were reported in the local media, of which 70% were girls under the age of 18, most of them from the Sindh province. Unless these measures are implemented urgently, Pakistan will continue to foster a climate of impunity for perpetrators of faith-based discrimination and violence, allowing the already narrow space for religious freedom to shrink even further, the HRCP said in its statement. The death toll of Turkey and Syria earthquake has gone past 37,000. Turkish authorities officially say 31,974 people have been killed in the country, whilst more than 5,800 people are dead in Syria. However, more than 8,000 people have been pulled out alive from the rubble in Turkey. President Erdogan has expressed sincere gratitude towards all countries that have come forward to support Turkey after the earthquake. Shirazi-affiliated centres and organisations based in Turkey and elsewhere began dispatching assistance to victims of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development, in cooperation with Imam Hussein charity organisation, distributed humanitarian assistance to affected families in Turkey. It is worth mentioning that these humanitarian initiatives are based on the directives of the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein Shirazi, to extend helping hand to the victims of the massive earthquake. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our dear viewers of today's headlines. Amid tight security plans, large numbers of Ahlul Bayt followers continue walking towards Holy Kazimiyyah. Shirazi World Foundation's message on International Day for the Prevention of Violent Extremism conducive to terrorism. Non-violence organization calls for eliminating political extremism on International Day. Germany sees shortage of burial places for Muslim immigrants. Pakistan's top rights group raises alarm on religious freedom. Shirazi centres in Turkey rush to provide relief to earthquake victims. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you very much for watching. May Allah Almighty hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ولله الأسماء